What's up, guys? This is a Vancouver Hustler show. I am your host, Umar Khan.
And I'm your co-host, Joshua Adara.
And this is...
You're Preet Hundal. I go by @HundleGram on Instagram, and I'm a photographer.
Look, or like, how was it for you? Capitalism, corporate, and how was it for you? Or whatever. Those days starting your own thing.
If you don't want to work for
No, not necessarily. Days starting your own thing.
So, HundleGram, who are you?
Well, let's see. That's a deep question.
That's a good question.
That's a good question. So, I'm a 24-year-old photographer from Ladner, British Columbia. I am currently studying to become a high school teacher, primarily English and social sciences.
That's pretty cool.
My bachelor's degree was in English, and I have a minor in sociology. And yeah, just I like to shoot photos during my time off. I like to read books, do
Nice.
creative things.
Nice.
What books have you read so far?
Right now I'm reading two. So, and one of them is called Norwegian Wood by Haruki Murakami, which is like a fictional book about a man in Japan. And it doesn't really have like a primary plot or like an antagonist. It's more so just like the everyday goings of like his life in the 60s and the relationships he's going through. And it's actually very depressing, but
Yeah?
it's a really interesting take on the human condition when they go through like unfortunate circumstances. And the other book I just started is called The Hero with a Thousand Faces by Joseph Campbell, which is apparently like one of the most influential books of the 20th century, if not the most, what they say. And it talks about the ways in which I mean, it's going to sound like vague, but like how everything is interconnected. He calls it the monomyth, where various like religious tales, fictional stories, they all kind of share like one particular similar theme, right? And I've been reading that. It's super profound.
Sounds dope.
It's very difficult for me to describe it in one kind of like sitting because it's one of those books you read one page and you gotta be like, wait a second, you reread it again. It's like super dense, but there's a lot of information in it, and it just talks a lot about like morality, what people go through when they face struggle, like the common tropes. And I like it because oftentimes, at least as far as like religion goes, it's always there's like some conflict. It's like if you don't believe in this person, you're wrong, right?
Yeah.
But what Joseph Campbell tries to talk about is that we're actually all on the same side. Each religion, we're all just kind of rooting for the same individual, whether his name is Jesus, Allah, etc., right? But we all kind of have, to some extent, not every religion, because Buddhism is a little different, but we're all kind of rooting for the same person. And whereas some may look at religion nowadays and see it as something that divides people, he says, no, all these stories actually connect us. We're actually all rooting for the same man or woman upstairs. Right? It's super interesting. But it's dense. It's a long book, but I would highly recommend you guys
check it out.
Yeah, pick it up. It's called The Hero with a Thousand Faces.
For
Hero
sure.
with a Thousand Faces.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Cool.
Sounds
Yeah.
Do you yourself follow faith?
I want to.
That's
You want to? What does that mean?
I've always liked to. I just don't. I don't know. I tried to get into like Buddhism. I read a lot into it a long time ago, just because I was dealing with like various stages of chronic depression. And I tried to get into meditation for a while, but I ended up stopping after a while.
Buddhism is more so of a lifestyle rather than a religion.
Yeah, it's not really a religion.
Yeah.
Because a lot of teachings, Buddha didn't often talk about a man upstairs who's going to take you to the promised land or anything like that. He just kind of talked about, from my understanding, and right, it's more about like achieving a certain mind, a sense of mind where you're at a level of contentness with life, and be able to give back to people. It's a very wholesome lifestyle, I would say, Buddhism. But because it's a lifestyle, like you have to really practice it a lot. If you meditate, you can't just it's like going to the gym. If you meditate, you can't just take a day off, right? Or you can, but if you take too many,
it's like comes back to consistency, man.
Right. Yeah, because the more you meditate, the more your mind is trained to like think a certain way and deal with issues in a certain way. So if you stop for a couple of days, you kind of lose that, right? So I tried meditation. There's an app, and they don't sponsor me, so
Headspace?
Headspace.
Yeah.
Headspace, yeah. So
I-
it's that old British guy that talks to you.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I
he
use
tells-
that too sometimes.
Yeah, I used it for about 20 days straight, and then I just ended up being really busy with school, so I stopped using it, and it was very hard for me to get back on it just because I lost that like mindful consistency, I guess, to like
Yeah.
always be thinking of things, and I would like I really want to get back on it too. It's just like I lost my motivation after 20 days, but I'll get back on it soon enough.
After those 20 days, did you have like a big change or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it trains your mind to look at various issues in your life in a more
Like a different side to it, I guess.
a different side to it, but also like it changes your approach to it, right? And how
Like
you
the
handle
perspective.
things, how you handle it, and I think that's like probably the best part of it. It's like if you at the first 10 days, it's not gonna do much for you. At least for me, it didn't do much, but after a while, it really helped train my mind to approach issues that was happening in a better, healthier way.
And what would you do in the morning or the night?
I would do it in the morning.
Morning?
So
Same.
I would do it either after or before breakfast, and usually on days I have school, I'll make sure I do it before my first class. Right?
Nice.
So, yeah.
That's what I actually use Headspace too for approximately 15 days.
Right.
But I wasn't consistent with it. I wasn't every day. It was more so of like 2 days or like let's just say like 3 days straight, miss a
Yeah.
day, and then do one instead in the morning after like right before sleeping. So I wasn't like set with it. Like you know like
It's tough.
It is hard.
It's like going to the gym. You know,
Yeah.
like if you really want to make. I'm no expert in the gym, but I mean, if you really want to go make significant gains, you have to go 3 to 5 times a week.
Minimum, yeah.
Minimum. So like I try to go 3 times a week, but if I get any less than that, I'm not actually making gains, right? So it's something you do have to push yourself towards doing, and that can be tough if you have school, a podcast to do like you guys, just like everyday randomness that makes, pardon my French, but shit hit the fan, right? And that makes you like, curveballs, it's hard to really maintain that when all that's going around, so if you can do it, then it's going to be 100% beneficial towards you.
And from personal experience, what's your best advice to give someone who's just starting meditation?
So what Headspace allows you to do is that it sets you it gives you you can set to give you a notification around a certain time, and it'll tell you like it's time to use Headspace, right?
Yep.
Every time you see that, you got to make damn sure you do your damn meditation, right? If you ignore it once, you failed. Like you know, like you have to. Honestly, there was a time where I did it for 5 days straight, and I stopped for 2, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go back to day 1 now because I kind of forgot what I heard the last 5 days, right?
Yeah.
So it is. I mean, very much like Nike, just do it, right? Like if you want to do it, if you truly want to have the mindset to get better, then you got to find a way despite all the stuff that's going on. So I got to 20 days, and I will start again soon. I just finished my last midterm, so I will probably do it soon. And then hopefully the trick for me is that next time I have a hurdle, like midterm, something like that, or finals, I still continue regardless, because that's how you truly know if you can do it, is when everything's happening in your life that you have to focus on that's bugging you, you still stick to the plan.
Exactly.
Right? Don't just...
That's when it shows you dedication, right?
Right.
Yeah, if you only do it when things are easy for you, then you're not really doing it, right?
No, exactly.
That's so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. And you think that comes with like a plan too? Because obviously you're trying to get something out of it, right?
Mm-hmm. Right?
Right.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a plan, you can't stick. What are you sticking to? There's no commitment.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like if you guys just stopped doing this podcast for 2 months, you'd probably lose a lot of followers, people would
Right.
stop watching it. If you have to be consistent with your stuff. I think that's more like a life kind of,
Yeah.
what do you call it? I don't know what the word for it is, but it's like a life thing.
Like a principle.
A principle of,
Yeah.
exactly, a principle of life is that like if you really want to do something, you gotta stick with it. And if you don't end up sticking with it, that might be your mind telling you maybe it's not for you, right?
Right.
Speaking of principles, what are your top principles for you personally?
What do you mean, just like life principles?
Like the principles of
Or
your
maybe
life?
just like stuff that you like your values. What do you
Okay.
value? Like
One sec, I'm not.
yeah, no worries.
Like
Like maybe something like I don't know, something that's important to you.
But if
You
you
won't
want,
ever
we
go
can
back
go
on.
first. We can go
no, ask me. Top values. So throughout my life, I've been going through like very unfortunate stages of chronic depression, where sometimes I would just wake up and like for a period of time I would just be fucking sad for, pardon my French.
No,
Yeah.
no worries. Go back.
For like-
Language is
for
my
like-
words.
It's fine, here.
for like
No holds
for like a
barred.
2 week period of time, and I would like alienate people. It's always happened ever since high school, and I guess the trick. I still haven't gone through this, obviously, but I've been better at handling these chronic stages that happen in my life, periods of time. Is because a lot of the time it's because I would just think like, oh, everything sucks, and just being dumb and mopey, and I would just have that attitude for whatever reason. And I understand, like, I think the trick is to kind of appreciate the smaller things. You guys know what, like, pantheism is? Okay, so pantheism is like, I think it's not really a religion. It's not a religion. It's like a standard. It's like a belief that God is in everything. Not necessarily God, like a man or woman upstairs, but like something of profound value, right? So I was listening to a podcast. The podcast is called "You Made It" with Pete Holmes. Pete Holmes is a comedian, and he interviews musicians, comedians, and has a very profound and deep conversations with them. And he was talking to Jack Johnson, who's a popular folk musician, and they just kind of got into pantheism. And Jack Johnson has said that the way you should approach life is that you got to understand that divinity does not transcend reality. You get what I mean?
No.
Okay, so you can't just like wait for something crazy to happen for you to feel alive. Divinity does not transcend reality.
So
right?
You gotta go make that.
Right.
Moment.
Yep. There's so many cool stuff in our lives that we witness, and we're like, oh, that's just a natural occurrence, right? But I mean, think about like
just to add on that. Like,
yeah.
That's so true. Like, for example, something really small.
Yeah.
That we don't really appreciate is the sense of small.
Oh. Anyway, so that's kind of how I've learned to deal with the various demons that go on that. And over time, I've actually been able to deal with it a lot better. And essentially, it's all about just appreciating the small things. That's like the gist of it. So yeah, like essentially, yeah, like you just gotta look at things that we otherwise would not take for granted as something that truly is some useful.
Like you said, smell, right?
Or just like
smell,
Or even like just the fact that you're living in a house, you're alive.
Oxygen.
Well,
food,
that
water.
also because like even think about the world we live in. There's a lot of magical stuff to think about. Like imagine if like an alien from another world came here and he saw like whales and stuff, and like whales have they can name each other,
right?
With like sounds and stuff.
I did not
That's
know
fascinating, hey? Like
right.
imagine if like someone from another world came to Earth and they'd be like, holy shit,
Right.
that's magical.
You ever think about space, bro? Like, what if like aliens just come down? And it's like that would be like ground shaking, dog.
Right, man.
It depends if we could like talk to them or not, or if they knew what was going on.
They'd probably be like they know a different language, I'd assume.
Yeah, definitely.
So,
yeah.
Just stuff like that. Like we know it's there, but we don't.
You guys think about aliens a lot?
No. That's kind of cool.
Cool. What are your guys' principles?
You wanna go?
Personally, man, for me, is growing up, I grew up in a very brown family.
So for the non-theory people in the audience,
okay,
what is that?
Like brown. This meaning like brown people are like always late to things. At least my parents are like they tell us things and they just wouldn't do it, right? So growing up, I kind of like promised myself, and it was like it's weird. It's not like I actually said it. It was just kind of like internal in me, where it's like I'm never gonna be late to things. When I say I'm gonna do something, I do it, right? And
do you follow that?
And 100% I follow that.
Okay.
Right? And suppose if I was running late, I make sure I let someone know well before.
Yeah.
Like for example,
courtesy.
today, right?
Yeah.
I messaged you at 3:00 saying we're gonna be half an hour late,
right.
Even though I didn't even start leaving because we were uploading something, so I knew it would cause us lateness. We were here like 4:15ish.
So you wanted to let them know.
So we gave them a well heads up.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So for me, it's like kind of like not disappoint people, so not keep words that we wouldn't actually keep, and be on time all the time. Right?
Cool. What about you, Josh?
Mine's just one simple thing, just staying true to my words. Like growing up a lot, like I've always, even with these guys too, they've noticed that like where I say I'm going to do something, I always don't follow through, whether it's like being nervous or I'm scared or I don't want to see like the result of me failing or something. So yeah, ever since like, this is kind of personal. So like when I was in high school, I started getting into like a lot of bad stuff. So after 10th grade, I started failing in school, sports. My parents weren't happy. I saw like my overall parents. So I told myself in grade 10, I'm like, this is not going to happen. Right. Like,
what was the line that you crossed that made you think that though?
just
what was the moment?
It was the moment of like seeing my parents unhappy with me coming home, and like just even like when I was such a good like basketball player, and I was really like confident in myself, and I started seeing myself getting worse and worse and worse.
Right.
And I started seeing the surroundings, like family and friends around me, started impacting them.
Yeah. Well, that's the moment where you choose, right?
Right.
What's more important to you?
Like, are you gonna go back to that stupid stuff you're doing?
Yeah.
Or is it your family? Exactly.
Mm-hmm. And like the book I read from Joseph Campbell of Hero Without Face, he talks about that too, where there's in many stories, I guess, or many tales of where people must grow, there's always that decision time, you know, you either do or you don't, and whatever branch you take takes you on whatever path.
Exactly.
Right.
And so that's where it aligns for me for my principle. That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
Just staying true to your word.
Yeah. And there's always a line that people have, like
exactly.
Right, that significant moment, and
where it's like everything changes. What do they call that? This is the word for that. Something. It's called a shift.
we can call it the shift.
We'll call it a shift.
We'll call it a shift.
We can call it a shift. Cool guy. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah.
So alright, so photography, man.
Yeah.
When did that passion start for you?
So, let's see, summer of 2016. I was working a job I didn't like. I think I had to be almost done my education, but not quite. And my life had felt very mundane. I thought, you know, it'll be fun once I get a job after I graduate, but I wasn't really content with that. I wasn't really making like newer friends in whatever I was doing, you know. I felt like I had like accomplished everything I could at school. It was really nothing for me, you know. I wasn't really learning much from the classes I was taking. Right. And one of my closest friends from the university I go to, he had just something very unfortunate happen to him, and he had called me just like that morning. He talked to me about, he's like, I'm going through a very bad time, and he's a very stand-up individual, never really seems to get sad, and he was very distressed, very like shockingly, and he called me and said, like, I asked him, like, dude, come over, right? Like, in my garage I have like some couches. It's kind of like a cave, I guess, or a man cave we call it, and I have a TV there. It's like a nice area to chill. It was a sunny day, so I said, just come along, we'll just like chill and talk. And he was a guitar player, and he would often you know, that's what he'd do when he was sad. He would strum chords on the guitar, and he was very good at it too. So he came over, and like I kind of play guitar, but I'm not like amazing at it, nor do I have like the drive to be amazing at it. I kind of just like, you know, playing Wonderball sometimes, and that's about it. And so he came over. He was playing the guitar. I brought mine. We were just randomly strumming chords and talking, and that's what he told me. He's like, this is like therapy for me, right? Strumming chords and stuff. It took his mind off of things. He wasn't. I'm not saying doing an art will make you automatically feel better.
But you gotta find out what works for you.
Yeah, it's a slow process too, right? All because you pick up an art and you get good at it doesn't mean you're never gonna be sad again. But it was helping for him at least. And I didn't have anything like that for me. Like I said, I played guitar, but I'm not that good at it, in my opinion. Nor do I have the drive to want to be amazing at it. I was just working a job I didn't like. I was doing classes that I didn't particularly love. I don't know, I felt like I hadn't made new friends in a while, and I like to consider myself a very extroverted person. I want to talk to people, and I just wasn't really meeting new people. So my life just felt very mundane. I kind of thought about my friend with his guitar, and I'm like, I needed something like that, you know? And if you like go all the way down on my Instagram feed, there's a black and white photo, and it's just like, it's hard to make out what it is, but it's me and my friend. You can't see him, but you can see like the back end of his guitar. It's black and white, and I just wrote the caption, and I think it's super cheesy, but I just wrote, just keep strumming. That was like what came to my mind. So, and that I think was the moment where I'm like, wait a second, like it was fun to take that photo and add now I think it's dumb, but a caption to it.
Right.
And because I realized that, well, I've always known this, but I've never really had an outlet like this, like an outlet where I'm able to creatively express myself. And I think creative expression is one of the most important things you could do. It's super empowering. Mm-hmm. Like the idea that you can like put yourself into an art form or whatever, you know, a song, a podcast, a painting, a photograph you take, like me, or like anything creative where you can like truly like mess around with something and add your own spin to. that's very empowering, especially if you can show it to people. Not that you have to show yourself, or not that you should seek to validate yourself in order to be happy, but if you can show it to people, like it can be very empowering, right? Like you guys have with this podcast, right? I mean,
that's deep.
I mean, we should never look at validation from other people as a source of happiness, right? But I think to some extent everyone wouldn't mind some validation.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
It's superficial to think that that's like the one thing that should make you happy. Likes on your photo or people following you and stuff like that. Like it's very superficial in my opinion to look at that as like, this is like one of my number one sources of happiness. But in a way, validation from other people is important, I think, especially in today's age where we're just showing people shit on the internet. Everywhere we go, we're showing people stuff, right?
And plus, humans love admiration, right?
Of course.
Right? So especially with Instagram, right? Now it's like when you wake up, you can wake up to likes and followers and stuff, right?
Go on.
No one's gonna ever wake up and be like, oh man, I got 20,000 likes. No one's ever gonna go like that.
No,
they might go like just 20,000. They might say that, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like we wake up and like boom, we get the likes. We get like, and it feels good.
It does.
Did you ever play like Call of Duty when you were in high school?
Yeah.
You would like kill someone in Call of Duty, and these like things would pop on your screen like triple kill, excellent,
right?
And
that XP points or whatever.
Those are like shots of euphoria, man.
You know what? What I'm gonna relate to is like PlayStation, how you get trophies.
Yeah, man.
That shit was like crack, man.
That noise.
Bro. That noise, bro, was like. It's like, it doesn't matter if it's a bronze or a platinum, but that little, that sound was like golden. So when you hear that, it's like, and then you go to school, brag about it, I have this many trophies and stuff.
Right, it's the best.
It is. It's an injection of a short-term injection of euphoria, right? I think getting a follower, looking at your social media and like seeing these things pop up on the side is that short injection of euphoria, right? And unfortunately, it can become addicting, right?
It is addicting.
Bro, if we let's just say we post a video and it progresses in likes, like one slowly per hour. It's not the same as when you put it in, all of a sudden like you get like 20 likes at once, right? I don't know if you feel that way.
No.
But that's how I feel. Like I love when your phone's exploding when you just post something.
I 100% agree. And an issue I was having just last week is that it came to a point where I was really not liking the person I became, because every time I posted a photo, I would just, especially if I had nothing to do that morning, so I usually post in the morning, like lunchtime almost, and I would just pardon my French, I would just refresh Instagram, just like click that slider up, just to see like the 1 or 2 likes that would pop it, and refresh it over and over again just to see those like dots appear on the side, whether it's like a follow or a like, and idle time is like it's poison for some people, especially someone like me. I need to keep busy usually, whether it's like listening to podcasts, playing music, listening to music, homework, studying. Sometimes idle time can be very poisonous for me, because all I want to do sometimes when I have nothing to do, like even if I'm just like at home watching the Canucks play, it's just like refreshing my Instagram, like looking, And it came to a point just last week where I'm like, I didn't like that. Like, I'm like, who am I, right? I'm just a robot that feeding off these euphoria shots, these red dots that would appear on my Instagram, right? Or, on other social media platforms. So I ended up deactivating my Facebook for a week, and I just deleted my Instagram, which is harmful, actually. If you're trying to grow your business. It's terrible, because the Instagram algorithm wants you to post a lot, or else they forget about you. It's very unfortunate, especially it's very hard for someone with not, like, I would say under 10K-ish followers to grow on nowadays, right? Because it's all about, when you post, you have to get immediate likes to appear on
the homepage.
The homepage, right?
Not even likes now. Apparently now you need comments.
Comments now? Well, there you go, right? So how does, like, a up-and-coming podcast from Surrey, BC, you guys gotta really grind, and like they make you become these drones. Like I'm just talking about these like people like I was, where I was refreshing my damn Instagram, right? So I ended up just deleting my Instagram. I deleted my Snapchat, and I still haven't got my Snapchat back. I don't think I really need that, honestly. I deactivated my Instagram, my Facebook. It's back up now just because I have to do something real quick, but I'll probably end up deactivating it again.
Okay. Question: you said you're an extrovert person, right?
Yeah.
So when you remove the social media aspect, does that mean you have to go out more now?
It's not that I have to go out more. It's that I have to like
eliminate yourself from that and focus on better things.
You have to retrain your mind, right? Because if you're constantly on your social media, I was definitely hooked on it, but I wasn't like always on it, right?
No, but I mean, like, what I mean is the absence of social in your life. Does that mean you need to go out more to meet more people, or
well, and I don't want to. No, that's a good question because, to an extent, sometimes talking to people on social media, it feels very superficial to me. It doesn't feel real.
It doesn't.
Right?
Yeah,
so I don't really get that burst. If I'm talking, it feels way better for me to talk to someone in real life.
100%.
I get way more energized,
Yeah.
especially if they're of good energy. Right. If it
just feeds off each other.
And not just that, bro. Like even like the phone call, right? The phone call or even FaceTime would be the closest to actually face to face.
Yeah.
But still, it's really
real.
hard to connect with them because like they're not there.
Right.
Yeah. No, I agree. Like you just got me thinking, right? Like if I'm talking, even like texting or like DMing, I don't get that that energy I get when talking to someone face to face, right? So to answer your question, did I have to focus on other social outlets to make up for the lack of, me having social media? No, because I never really felt that on Instagram anyways. I felt like a drone on Instagram, right? And I hate the fact that it really forces you, especially if you're still growing, that you have to be on it a lot. You have to be posting. You have to be commenting and liking. Like I hate that. I actually don't. I don't like social media. Like it's kind of ironic for me to say, right?
Yeah.
Because that's how you guys know me.
That's the gateway of your brand.
That's the gateway of my brand, right? That's how I get find clients to shoot photos for. It's like if I don't have Instagram, I don't have. I'm not really a photographer. Like I'm shooting my friends pretty much that I can text, but like not like. I'm not really putting myself out there.
The thing with social media, it's like a knife, right? It could be good or it could be bad, right? It's up to the user, right?
True.
Especially
how
for
you handle it, yeah.
a person like yourself or like us, who we have some sort of brand going on.
Mm-hmm.
Social media is the best way to put it out there. Because let's just say we did a podcast, right? And we're selling tapes, right? How the hell are you gonna sell it? We're gonna go stand outside and be like, hey, buy our podcast tape.
People are gonna think you're weird.
Yeah, they're gonna like, what podcast tape?
Exactly.
Right? Or we gotta go pay to put it on the radio. But this, now it's an open platform which people love to use for free. Right? Our community's on there, and now we could post on there. So it's like a knife, right?
I think
it could be good or bad.
I think it's seen as more normal too to advertise stuff on social media than it would be outside.
In this day and age, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to be like a famous celebrity anymore, like on TV or a movie. You can just have a following. What was like the reason? Because you said you're going to school to become a teacher, and this is your side thing.
Yeah.
So what's the when you started? What was like is this a side thing for fun? Like obviously it is, but like, what if it takes over?
Right.
And, like it becomes like your career.
Do you want me to answer it now?
Yeah.
Are we recording? Okay.
Yeah, we're recording. Yeah.
Okay. Can you re-answer the question?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so like, you're going to school to get your education, right?
Yeah.
To become a teacher, and this is a side thing for you to do for fun, to get away and stuff, and it's just fun stuff. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, like I said earlier, I needed a creative outlet just because I felt my life was very mundane.
To express yourself. Right?
I feel like everyone should have a creative outlet. I'm not saying that you should all become a musician or an artist, but have something that you can express yourself with that is empowering for you to do, that is different from what you do normally, right? Whether that's school or work, but like that's completely different because it re-energizes your brain. It helps you not be bored. I think it helps you not be a boring person, to be quite honest. The most interesting people I know are the ones who do have a creative hobby of some sort. Right. And I mean, by creative hobby, that can be so many things.
Yeah. It's all about relatability at the end of the day, right?
True.
How much you could talk about something, right?
Yeah.
That's what a more exciting person to be, rather than someone who can't
relate.
Yeah. And there's a reality that some people are boring, right? Or some people may appear boring, right? But that doesn't mean that they can always show them. You can always show yourself through art, right? So if there's been instances where I saw someone and I talked to them for a bit, they didn't seem like they're interesting people. Then I find out they're actually very interesting people. Just they weren't talking about the right thing. Yeah. Right. They weren't telling me about what really made them tick. Right.
That's so true.
And I don't mean to sound judgmental at all.
But it's not judgmental. But let's just say, let's say what's something that does not interest you. Like, are you interested in politics?
To an extent. Okay. I don't like hearing about Trump stuff every day. I turn off my Reddit account.
Are you interested about talking about curling?
No, not at all.
Right? So let's just say I'm having a hardcore conversation. Like, you see that curling match last night? you're gonna be bored. I could be a super cool guy, but it's just talking about the right thing with the right person.
But I do feel like if I talked about someone who's excited and passionate about curling, that they could make me excited and passionate about curling.
Oh, that's a different side to it.
I think energy and how you perceive. If you just say, "Oh, hey, you see the curling game? It was really sick."
But if I say like, "Yo, you see the curling game, bro? It was mad. Like the man hit the next ball. Like that's gonna hype you up."
That will obviously be like say it in an energizing way, but also tell me the specifics about it. Like why you find curling to be exciting, you know?
Like, yo, there's like 3 minutes left. It just tapped the ball and
right.
Because like to me, I find curling because I know curling is a fun thing, right? Okay. It's just I find it boring because I don't understand it. So if you can help me understand it, right? It's like
then it goes to relatability because you can relate to it because you understand how it works.
That is true.
I love watching soccer, but I know a lot of people find soccer boring. But I find soccer really fun because I played it for a lot of a long time throughout most of my elementary school career and all my high school career. So I know the intricacies. I know I know that it's actually a tough sport, right?
Definitely.
If you just have never played soccer and you see people passing a ball, you may not appreciate how hard it is to curl a ball across the field onto
because it may look easy
your teammate, right?
Because you never did it.
It looks easy, right? Or if you've never skated, you probably won't appreciate how hard it is to play professional hockey, and you may not appreciate watching professional hockey, right? You have to understand, I think to truly understand something, you really have to have some experience in it to some degree, right?
Like understand the details.
Right. So exactly, like I said, like some of my friends think soccer is boring, but I find it interesting because I know the small intricacies that those players are doing that I can't do perhaps, or that they do better than me, and I know how tough it is. I understand these guys are good athletes, right? Same with curling. If you can prove to me, I don't mean proof, you can show me because I know it's there, that there's these small details about curling that make it a very tough or competitive sport, or there's something about it that I'm unaware of, or
you're not exposed to.
I'm not exposed to, I'm blind to. Right. I'm all in, man. It's just about how you talk about it too, right? If you some people aren't like, some people are entertained by just small talk. I like small talk too. But if you can really show me that you're passionate about something that I'm not passionate about, and if you make me excited about it by telling me what actually makes you passionate about it,
right?
I think that's all the power to that's empowering for you because you know these things, and that you can tell me these things, right? So, it all depends on how you convey it, right?
Right.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Right. That's super interesting.
Yeah. So back to your hobby, which is photography.
Right.
I guess your side profession. Is it right now? Have you monetized it at this point?
Yeah, I've made money from it.
Nice.
I wouldn't say I'm not making bank.
Yeah.
But it's something I know I can't. Like if I put the effort into it, I can make money of it. Like I know I could probably make it a full-time job if I wanted to. At the same time, I like when I'm doing with school and stuff. I like the other stuff I spend doing time like that isn't photography. I do like doing that stuff too. So it's just a matter of like how much I want to put into it, right? I like doing it, but I feel like if I did it too much, I may not like it. I mean, there's that argument, you're making your hobby your profession. I think to some extent it's possible, but to some extent it really isn't.
Yeah.
I feel like if I have to be editing photos every other night and have to hand them in by like a day after, because I like editing, and I love like, if you look at my photos, I play a lot with light because I primarily shoot at night, right? So I like messing with hues of colors, making photos look more like vintage and retro. I do a lot of stuff on an editing program, Lightroom. So I spend up to 3 hours on like one photo sometimes. Sometimes I spend 10 minutes, right? And the photo looks just as good, right?
Yeah.
But that's
like just like us too, though. Like some of our clips that we edit, right? Where it will like one of the most recent ones with Legit, right? Well, how long did that take?
When we added it in schools and stuff.
This video, and we added a lot of extra stuff. That one took like
almost an hour.
Right? Where usually it would have taken like 15 minutes. You clip the video, add the music, add this caption, boom, it's done. So just like you, right?
Yeah. But I felt like if I have to do that every day or have do this multiple times, it ruins my creativity, because I get creative when I have time to not do something.
Exactly.
Right? When I'm not editing, that fuels my passion to be creative the next time I do this, right? If I have to do the same editing every day, or I have to edit every day, I'm gonna be less creative because I don't have that downtime,
That's what Ty Lopez said, right?
Super interesting.
Yeah.
He loves, was it salsa? Yeah, he loves salsa dancing.
Yeah.
So we opened a salsa dance club, right?
Mm-hmm.
After he did that, he hated it, because after all the work he had to put in every day, where instead of it turning into passion, it turned into some hectic ass job. right? That's when the fun comes out of it.
Yeah, and I think he had to deal with the small. I don't know the guy, but I'm sure you have to deal with the small intricacies of like running that, right? Yep. That was not dancing related. No, that was more like dealing with people or something,
and
schedules,
management and all that.
Right, and that takes away your enjoyment of doing it to some extent. You need to, at least for me, and I do not want to speak for a lot of people, right? But at least for me, I need downtime. Even if I love doing something, like I used to love playing soccer, but if I played soccer every day, I would hate it. Right?
Exactly.
Right.
So there's some things you just strictly leave for leisure. Like you don't need to turn everything into career.
Of course not.
You still love it too. It's just you like all because you love doing something doesn't mean you love doing it every day or every other day.
But then there's some people that are total opposite. Like, for example, like
that they hate their job.
Like Harp 3-seed, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
He loves basketball and he trains and he loves training too.
Yeah.
Because he just loves it.
Good on
some
him.
people they might hate training because like they're like this is too much basketball.
Right.
So it does matter on the person.
So it matters on the person, the perspective, and how they see it.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
At least for me, like a lot of what I do is based on like creative endeavors. You know, editing photos, composition, like everything I do in life, even if it's like schoolwork, I try to implement creativity in it. Right.
It becomes more fun.
But if you have to force creativity or you have to do something, the same thing every day, you don't have the downtime to think about like what are you gonna be creative about next. You know, it's just like shit. I gotta do this again. I gotta make something magical every day. Like you need downtime. You certainly need downtime. Some people need downtime. Like your friend, he probably doesn't. At least for me though, with what I'm doing with photography and editing, if I'd edit photos every other day, it would be too much. I need time to think about okay, how am I gonna edit the next photo or the next batch of photos differently, right? I don't get that time to think if I'm always doing it.
Gotcha.
Sure, awesome. So to end it off, we have two kind of ending off things. The first thing is your 60-second hustle.
Oh, we're going to add that in. Let's do it.
A 60-second hustle, right? So you're going to talk about something that's like deep to your heart, and you have 60 seconds to talk about it. I'm going to turn the time.
So like anything deep to your heart, like meaning like something that
you're passionate about. You want to get the message out there, and we're going to turn into a little...
So if there's another like you out there that's maybe passionate about photography, something that they want to do every day.
It doesn't have to be about photography. Just something that
or anything.
Like you just want to talk about, you want people to know about, and you have 60 seconds. So you ready?
No, give me 5 seconds more.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time.
Give me a 60-second break.
Okay, no worries. We just threw that. We just threw that at him.
No. Okay, go.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay. If you're like, I would say if you're an individual who's perhaps bored of what you're doing in life, get that out. I don't need to. I'll go an hour. If you're someone who's perhaps a little bit bored or feels like life is a little bit mundane, I would just recommend doing something creative. Like learn a new instrument, paint a picture, take photos of random stuff, take photos of people. I don't know, pick up like tennis or something, like pick up golf or something.
Try something different.
Try something new. Let yourself be obsessed with it. That's what I would say. If like be open to just letting something like totally encompass you.
That was perfect. That was awesome. Now the last thing is you got to call out who's coming out next. Someone who has a hustle and a story.
Or just like a friend of yours. But it has a hustle and a story.
Look at the camera and call them out, and they're gonna respond in a video.
Not even a hustle. Like if they're just passionate about something like you are.
Passionate. I know so many people.
Yeah,
though.
And if they have an interesting story, I'll shout out one person.
I don't know.
You gotta challenge them.
Hey, Paul, do you want to be on the podcast?
Paul's already been on.
Paul's already been on it. Round 2, Paul. Come on.
We want new people fresh.
I know a few people in bands I can recommend you to, maybe.
Doesn't matter, yeah.
Okay, doesn't matter.
Yeah. I don't want to name names because I don't know if they'd be like...
into it?
Yeah.
You could call someone out, man.
Anybody.
But they have the right to say yes or no.
Yeah, they have the right to say yes or no.
Respond.
I know 2 people who are actually very interesting that I feel like they like to talk to people, but the world doesn't really know about them. One of them's named Josh, and one is Umar. And I would love to have them talk to them on the Vancouver Hustlers podcast, see what makes them tick, understand why they're doing this format of podcast, what made them want to do it. I would like to talk to those 2 guys, if you know them. I don't know, do you have their contact?
Okay, awesome. We'll get in contact. Shout out to there you go. Shout out to those guys. We'll get Paul and you. Actually, why not? You can come too if you want, man.
Sure, man.
Let's do it. Actually, we'll have a whole session.
Yeah.
Awesome. That wraps up our episode with Preet Hundal.
Yeah.
With Mr. HundleGram.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you for watching, guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Peace.